I didn't expect there to be so much in hospitality. I think people are starting to now ask questions about is like, okay, the initial hype is over. How do we actually start to do meaningful things with
Right.
this? This is fantastic for people in the hospitality industry, but also really good for people in other industries to kind of get a sense of what you can start to do with this tool. I don't know.
Today, we'll talk about AI and hospitality. There's short-term rentals, things like Airbnb and things that, let's say, everyday people who are hosting vacationers or renters in their homes. And then the other part of hospitality, which would be like big hotels, right? Starting with the short-term rental side of things, and Airbnb, let's say specifically, is the biggest one, right? Any marketing thing is to find your target audience, right? And with a short-term rental, you're going to want to find the ideal renter so that you can target your listing descriptions and everything like that towards them, right? So his prompt was create a market research piece for the typical type of person who visits Salem, Massachusetts for vacation. Some of the standout points that the response gave were the typical age of the vacationer, the fact that they're mostly couples, where they're usually traveling from, and the average length of their stay. So this is for Salem, Massachusetts. His second prompt was to ask for social media content ideas that would attract this target audience. But I think that the more direct route, once you have your target audience, would be to ask ChatGPT for these listing descriptions. Second guy, he's from Rental Scale Up, and he's also an Airbnb-er. His prompt was create an Airbnb listing description using this input. And then he, gave all the details: Chamonix, vacation rental, 5 bedrooms, 3 baths, lots of details there. Basically, the more details, of course, as we've been seeing with all of this generative AI, the better the input, the better the outputs. The modifications that he asked for afterwards, I think, were the standout points here. Looping back to Simpson's prompt, right? He also asked it, rewrite this Airbnb listing to target a family with kids. And then he can modify that for different audiences. You can make multiple listings on Airbnb so that it targets different people, or at different times, for example, like one for the summer or one for the winter. And then he also even threw in a couple of guest reviews, said, here's a few guest reviews that stayed in my property. Take that information and give me some more ideas to kind of like enrich in the listing and get a little bit more personal. The final prompt, as far as the listings go, would be to create a title for that listing, right? Can you help me come up with a catchy title for my Airbnb property located here with X number of baths, etc. Any short-term renter will tell you there's so much communication that's going back and forth from the beginning of that process through the booking and then all the way to the checkout time, right? AI is really kind of shining in that area as well. You can input messages that you would like it to respond, giving keywords and things like that, automating those messages for, let's say, directions to rental properties, information for local attractions, or check-in instructions, welcome messages, and check out lists. There's platforms out there. ChatGPT can also be used. Guest Guru is one of the platforms that kind of came up a couple times. Kind of just to sum that all up for Airbnb or short term. So we're looking at like the prompt sequence all the way from targeting your audience to then creating a listing, modifying the listings, creating the title, going back and forth with communications, and then all the way through checkout, maybe even, let's say, replying to the reviews. Now we can kind of jump in to talk about how bigger hotels are using AI. There are a lot of big names in hotels that are using some form of generative AI. So one of the things is analyzing guest reviews. This hotel took to Google Bard, seemed to be able to sift through all of the reviews on Google. And their question to Google Bard was, tell us, what do our guests love about our hotels? The response was, based on my analysis of guest reviews, Fortuna Hotel is a popular choice for travelers due to its convenient location, clean and comfortable rooms, friendly staff, and delicious food. I will say that I typed that same prompt into Google Bard and it gave me a very similar response, but it also gave me some specific reviews and said, look what guests are saying, right? And then one of them ended up coming back from Jane Doe. So I thought, okay, this is maybe AI generated. Maybe it's not a real review. I don't know if that's 100% accurate on what it gave. Kind of typed in some follow-up things that could be asked of it. For example, what are some things guests didn't like? And then it gave me these are things that they didn't like. And then can you suggest some ways to improve those areas, right? And so then it gave me some like areas to improve, like they didn't like the Wi-Fi, so maybe you should choose a different Wi-Fi carrier, this simple things like that. Now, there's a few platforms out there that are geared towards responding to reviews. There's one that comes up, Mara, that is basically ChatGPT for your hotel reviews. The example was there's someone's complaining about a dirty room. Mara would maybe use more positive language and get rid of the word dirty room. At our hotel, we make it our priority to maintain the cleanliness, et cetera, et cetera. And then also what you can do with this platform is you can feed it your own responses that you would like it to respond every time that it detects a certain keyword in the review. This platform is a copy paste method. So you still have to manually have somebody take the review off of Expedia, copy it into the Mara platform, and then paste the response that AI generated. What we'll probably see in the future, and maybe it's already out, maybe just not this one specifically, but like is a plugin that would maybe, kind of run directly with all of those areas on the internet would be kind of cool to see. The other big way that the big hotels are using generative AI is the customer service chatbots. So rather than having them have to call the lobby, it's all being fed through their chatbot now. So hotel amenities, room rates, check-in and check-out times, room service orders, spa reservations, housekeeping services, recommendations for local activities. Food and beverage is also a big part of the hospitality industry. Big uses was to come up with different brainstorming ideas for the food and beverage sector of your hotel. It's a simple 3-prompt series. Create a 3-course meal with 2 options per course for a luxury hotel. The second prompt is make the food in the style of Chef Thomas Keller. 3 is provide detailed recipes for each of the items above. This is a great example of how you can brainstorm ideas and then take it to the implementation.
This is fantastic for people in the hospitality industry, but also really good for people in other industries to kind of get a sense of what you can start to do with this tool.
People who are going to book your hotel right now are going to Google and searching for your hotel. Now that AI has come on the market, is your hotel going to rank the same on Google as it is through the AI? I don't know. I feel like that's up to debate. Do we know how to get your hotel to rank on AI, or is it even possible? Like, just to experiment a little and have a little bit of fun with it, I searched in Google Bard. I asked it to give me the best hotels in San Diego near the San Diego Convention Center, and then took that same search to Google just to see if the recommendations would have been lined up at all. It was pretty on point. When you search that into just a Google query, like it's going to pull up like a map and then, I don't know, 150 recommendations. But like that first page, there was 6 out of 10 that were the same hotels. Then if you clicked onto the second page, 2 more showed up. And then the other 2 were just so far down that I didn't even keep clicking. As a content writer, it's something that is also coming up in my industry, right? On how people are going to start optimizing their content. And I think it specifically applies to hotels, right? Because of the travel thing and how people are searching their travel.
This was amazing. Thank you, Jamie. This is fantastic. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Sure.